plan on waiting a few more minutes, just so people aren't sitting there staring at us since it's 5:30, just to allow people to file in.
Let's just go ahead.
You want to go ahead and start? Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Steve Ferry, and I'm the president of the board here. We're not going to start this meeting.
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Steve Ferry, and we're not going to start this meeting until the unelected person sitting up here at the dais leaves. Thank you.
I am now leaving, so it's up to him to decide what he wants to do. I am a member in good standing, and no action has been taken against me.
You're going to need the floor. I expected this might happen. I have something I'd like to say to the board.
This is just citizen. We're not.
Nobody. Okay.
Can we please have allow council the chance to speak to this matter? This is just a citizen meeting, right?
First of all, here, Mr. Chair, I'd like you to open the meeting for the purpose of considering considering a point of order. If after that you choose to stop the meeting, I'll leave that to you. But I want to have the record reflect that the meeting was open for the purpose of considering a point of order to consider the qualifications of one of your members.
So, Mr. Cole, I have no intention of opening the meeting, period. Any questions?
So, in the event that this is an unusual circumstance that I've never encountered in my 25 years of municipal practice, I will tell the board this so that you all may consider it. Mr. King has a debatable, at a minimum, claim to be a member of this board. That is uncertain because of the manner in which he gave an email regarding his resignation. I believe there is a substantial legal question whether that is in fact a resignation. Nobody has to agree that it is. Nobody has to agree that it wasn't. The point that I have brought to your attention as your legal counsel is that there's an issue, and there is one person in this county who could resolve that, and that person sits in a courtroom in Placerville. So until such time as that remedy or right is brought to the attention of a judge in the Superior Court, there is no certainty on this matter. We have asked for your board to convene a special meeting to consider this and to give me and staff direction. The good news is that until that happens, there is something called the de facto director doctrine. Very esoteric, but what it says is that if a person exercises a public office that they are later found not to have a right to occupy, all of the things they did while they were occupying that office are not invalidated because there was a good faith basis to believe at the time they took those actions that those actions were valid. So I just want to advise this board in front of the public that if Mr. King participates, subject to the board chair's decision, which I have no authority to decide for him, the de facto director doctrine would allow your proceedings tonight to be valid, even if there were a legal action down the road and a court were to tell Mr. King that he does not, in fact, have a right to be in office. So I will just simply tell you there is a mechanism to move forward tonight. As your legal counsel, I think you can do so. I am not telling you you have to do so, but I am concerned that you have an entire agenda full of a lot of stuff that you have to do tonight that your staff needs direction from you on, and you're already planning to have another meeting 2 weeks from now. So as your legal counsel, I am telling you your proceedings will be valid if Mr. King participates. Doesn't mean you have to participate, but I wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
Mr. Cole, as a citizen to citizen, I've used a lot of attorneys.
I've never seen an attorney give his advice without being asked. I certainly don't understand how you're quoted in the newspaper having advised Citizen King of his standing after he resigned. But that's what's done. Mr. King believes because you've given the advice to Mr. King that he has the right to sit in the seat he's sitting in and hold this agency hostage. And that's what's now protracted. What really happened was he resigned. And that resignation was upon receipt, immediately a resignation, not a non-resignation, resignation, not a cooling off period. And then he subsequently unresigned 2 days later, but in the resignation, he says because the clerk of the board hasn't responded yet and accepted it, and the board hasn't taken any action, he's within his rights, which he's erroneous about, and you know it. So the only reason as we sit here today is we have a citizen-to-citizen standoff, if you will, is because of you. Because you're providing your client, Citizen King, advice that you shouldn't be doing because it's adverse to this agency and the public it serves. But yet here we are. You're the same guy who got signed up to work for this agency and didn't disclose you work for the county. You're the same guy who didn't disclose that you have another client, the county, and you're sitting here writing to this agency's auditor telling them that there are not issues with the county, including a $14 million park that this agency only took $3.5 million for because they were told that was the last $3.5 million. And the list goes on and on and on. Again, we only are sitting here with an issue because you created the issue for your client, Citizen King. I urge you to find a way to fix this for your actual paying client, that is the CSD in the public. Thank you.
So just this is not a meeting. I tried to make a point of order, so we let Mr. Getz have his speech, but I'm not going to stay. If this meeting is not going forward, I would recommend all of us leave rather than have an unannounced public meeting.
Thank you. That was going to be my question,
Yeah.
is we are not in a meeting and the president is allowing free comment.
Yes.
So do we have to
No, you do not.
remain
And I
because
would
we're not in a
advise,
meeting?
if we're not going to go forward, all board members to leave and for this building to be vacated because this is now an unagendized meeting. And so if there's a standoff, then let's all go home.
Good night. Go on home.
I think this is really disappointing for this board and this organization to devolve to this. We have important public business to do.
Follow the law. There's one person that can fix this tonight. You're wrong. Mr.
Okay, thank you.
It's not a judge. It's
Hey,
Mr. King.
this is not a practice. We're trying to do this work.
Really? Big man.
Thank
Big
you
man.
so much for coming out. This is really disappointing.
Chuck, what do you have to say? Did you resign on January 23rd? What did you intend Mr. Hornsford to do with it?
Ben, have
You
you
didn't intend him to do anything with it. Why did you need to withdraw it 2 days later?
have you been soliciting this job before it's vacant, Ben?
What?
Have you been soliciting for this job before it's vacant?
Absolutely not.
You're lying.
Absolutely not. People have solicited me, to be sure.
What it really
To bring
comes
some
down,
sense to this.
what it really comes down to is you have a serious issue right there, and until you hear it, you
Then
won't.
tell us what it is.
We can't hear it until you leave. You want to do it, come stand here at the podium as a citizen and disclose it all.
Marcus,
You've devoted an entire career. You don't have to listen to any of us, but you want to come here and put yourself above the institution.
Because you have
devoted your
thoughts.
entire career to this. The institution is
Are you?
You're putting yourself above the institution and you're grinding this to a halt. If you made a mistake, if you did something rash, you say, I'm sorry, I screwed up. You come here, you apply for your seat back, and you say, hey, I am the only person here that got votes. So put me back in my seat, and I'm sorry. You come hat in hand. But that's not what you're doing. You're coming here, and you're obstructing them from doing their job because of your ego. Because you think that you have a right over everybody else in this community to obstruct everything. That Chuck is the most important person here. And you know what else you've done, Mr. Cole? You need to recuse yourself. Because attorney to attorney, you've created a conflict of interest for yourself by giving Chuck advice on what he is contesting with the board. He's contesting the board, and you've given him advice on that, and you've given the board advice. You've given both sides of the litigation that's coming advice. You've created a conflict of interest. It's time for you to recuse yourself. Yes, you have.
When did you have?
First of all, am I going to get an opportunity to talk? Okay.
Then come and stand here and talk to the room. Don't sit up there and talk to the room like that's where you
Are you
belong.
going to shut up and let me talk?
Hey.
Tell me when.
It's so disrespectful.
Tell me when.
Nothing has changed with you.
Nothing has changed with you either.
But I'm the one standing here.
I'm still waiting. You let me know when
Then
it's
come
time for
stand
me to
here.
talk.
Come. We've been waiting for weeks to hear from you.
Are you going to shut up and let me talk?
Dude, let's hear it. Let's hear it. I'll sit down. Please. We've been begging for it for weeks.
But you can't shut up. You've all read the 2 emails that I wrote. I did not ask for an opinion.
Chuck, please speak in. At this stage, we've gone down this road, so why don't you speak into the microphone so that everyone can hear you, including those online.
I did not ask for an opinion as to my candidacy, whether I was qualified or not. The board did.
No, that's not true. We did not ask for it.
Okay, maybe your general manager did then, but it wasn't
That
me.
wasn't the board that directed him to do that.
Who was it? Let's look
I
at
don't know,
things out
Eric,
there.
you tell us.
I have, as the agency's legal counsel, an obligation when this happens to ascertain what the issues are. I had someone who told me on a Thursday, I'm out, I'm resigning, and on a Saturday, I'm back in. I've never seen that.
That's not even true.
I've
You
never
got
seen
an
that.
email
Excuse me, Mr. Guest. Zip it, Mr. Guest. Okay, here's how we're gonna say it. I'm gonna give you guys the opportunity to hear what I have to say. I listened to you. Here's what's happened. When I am the agency counsel and I am presented with a fact pattern, I have to make a determination. I have a member or a purported member who resigned and then unresigned, and I have to make a determination. Do I have a 4-member body or a 5-member body?
How about telling him to go get an attorney?
I've done that. And so I had to basically tell everybody, do we treat him as a member of our board or not? And what I've also said is our board needs to convene to decide this issue. What you haven't heard is that there was a special meeting set for last Friday that I pushed, that I talked to Director Hanneman and I talked to Director Ferry about, and I understood that they had given us permission to hold that meeting and to schedule that so that all of you would be able to come here and have a dialogue. And
Then
that
we
the 4
later
board
learned that
members
wasn't
would
necessary,
decide
Derek.
whether
It
to
wasn't
recognize
necessary.
Mr. King.
We were going off your advice and it wasn't necessary.
It
What
is
happens is
because-
if someone resigns, there's no legal counsel to seek. It's done. You can't unring the bell.
But you have a question as to whether he resigned. That's the
No, we
problem.
didn't. On Thursday,
Yes.
Friday, 2
No.
business days,
No.
we did not.
No, he did not deliver a
No one
letter
said, oh,
to
go and talk about
the
whether or
board.
not we should let Chuck resign and
So
let's do a legal
this is the
opinion.
point, Director Hanneman, he's sitting there between the two of you, and he was not leaving his seat. That's the problem. You assume that he'll just walk away. He's not.
Yes, when
He is
someone
asserting
resigns,
a
that's what
right to
happens.
his seat, and I have to give you the advice on how to handle that. And what I've told you is the way to handle that is for your board as a collective group to make a decision. Tell him he can stay or
Doesn't
tell him he
happen.
can go. And make that decision in front of everybody, and stop putting me and staff in a position where we have to decide if we talk to him or not.
They're not deciding, and neither are you.
You're right, I'm not deciding.
I am
They
not
need to
a
decide,
lawyer.
ma'am.
I
They
don't
need to
have
decide,
law
and they
degree
won't
behind
decide.
me, but I know general manager, acting as the secretary and treasurer for the board, he did what he was supposed to do. He forwarded it to all the board members and the clerk. 1750 doesn't say that he has to specifically hand it to the board, the clerk of the board.
It does.
So
It does.
No, it
It says he has to submit to the board.
No, it doesn't.
it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Now, let me explain here right quick. So we have all this down right.
Yeah.
We have a board meeting policy here that was last edited by Director Maddock and most likely Director Martinelli. It states under Policy Series 5000, which this attorney did not want to address when he was addressing all of us, and I finally sent him an email that says, where's the address to our policy manual, because this is what we operate with. And so it says here, additionally, a director may resign from office for personal reasons upon giving written notice to the board of directors.
Right. Submitting to the board.
Did I do that?
The next step, because there's a next step, is the remaining district board members may fill a vacancy by appointment. The next step is we do an election. Then somebody tells me that I don't have the right as the president of the board to actually do these things.
You don't.
So,
The board has.
so if you don't mind, I'll let you speak when you're speaking.
No, I'll step over the top of you when you're not telling the truth. The board has the authority.
The election,
You.
the exception of the board president may have no individual authority on, wait a minute, back
There you
up.
go, thank you.
Directors, with the exception of the board president, have no individual authority to act on behalf of the district. As individuals, directors may not commit the district to any policy, act, or expenditure. However, the board president has the authority to act on behalf of the board within the parameters of the outline in the policy. This is the outline in the policy. Let's keep going here, folks. And I'm not even an attorney. You know, I should have been. Actually, I could have been. Here we go to the next one. Duties include, but are not limited to, approving agendas, signing checks, minutes, ordinances, and resolutions. Notice, duties include, but are not limited to. So the point is, I have to take this policy manual, I would think, Director Maddock, that I take this policy manual and address it towards this issue. That issue standing right there. That's what I've done. If that causes me to have to leave this chair one day, then so be it, but we will have a little bit of problems trying to get that to happen. So, Mr. King, it would do this community a huge favor, because you're a huge guy, for you to just say, I'm going to court, go get it done. We don't mind that. But we're not, this guy is not putting you back on this board.
You haven't taken me off this board.
No, you did that on your own.
I'm on the board until you get a judge's order saying so, or until this board votes me off. I'll take either one. You give me whichever one you want, and I will gladly walk away. But that isn't going to hide your problems, and there's a lot of them. And they're coming out, whether it comes out tonight as the first thing on the agenda, or whether it comes out in the newspaper tomorrow, or KCRA tomorrow, or any number of different ways. But it's coming out.
Well, let it come out.
When it comes out, the malfeasance by this man is ugly, ugly, ugly. I wish I could
Why
tell
didn't you
you.
disclose it during the election or any time since November when you came here into this room and you supported him for his election to president? You said, I support this man, but you knew about that? You knew about that?
Are you going to let me talk?
Did you know about it at the time that you supported him to be elected to president?
No.
Director Ferry, can we have some decorum? The community had said they wanted to hear from Chuck. That's where we stopped.
He's got a microphone right there.
Everybody continues to interrupt. Members of the community can Chuck speak, and then we can go back to the community.
In case you're unaware, this is not a meeting. We did not start the meeting, and I don't have control over this.
As the
And neither
presiding
do you.
person over this, you do, then it's mayhem, and nobody is making sure there's any order.
There's no meeting. We're not having a
Okay, so there's no meeting, it's mayhem, and people can continue to talk over people, and members of the public can tell me to shut up and sit down. that is not good public decorum, and that is not how we should be acting. This,
Chuck, don't leave. We want to hear it.
then let him speak.
No, I'm not speaking unless we're having a board meeting. I can't.
Then go sit in the audience and wait for public comment like the rest of us.
I'm trying to be polite. I can't provide this
Your
information.
unresignation,
Not in a
Chuck, your unresignation said the clerk of the board hadn't accepted it or responded to you, and the board hadn't taken action. How did you think they were going to get that information? From the general manager, right? How in the world did the clerk get the information? From the general manager, who you sent it to.
Your intent was clear, Chuck. Whether or not it was delivered personally by you to the clerk, your intent was clear. We all know that. You know that. Your intent was clear when you sent it. There's no such thing as unresigning, and to expect us to believe that you should be resacked
So
because
meeting
you're
is
too
off
ignorant to
officially
know the law is
guaranteed.
ridiculous.
No meeting.
Doesn't start till you leave.
Well, then I'll just sit down and I'll stay here as long as you do that.
Okay, fair enough.
I think I heard Chuck say that he would leave if the board voted.
Absolutely. All they gotta do
There's no
is,
procedure for that. That's illegal in and of itself. They don't have the power to vote you out. You voted you out.
If he has 3 votes to be on the board, then you can honor the resignation and be reappointed for a partial
And-
term.
Right, we've been provided a path forward to allow the meeting to move forward. We can schedule that meeting that was previously scheduled, but then canceled. The board, if we find that he isn't here, the board has to provide direction to staff on how we intend to fill that position. It's exactly what we did when Director Priest resigned. He resigned in an open public meeting to the board, and then in April, staff brought back a board report seeking direction from the board. Do you want to do a interview process, or do you want to go to a special election? That's what needs to occur, but when the president is refusing the board to even take any action in order to move forward, the organization is stymied. The community is stymied.
I hear all that. I'm just saying as a pragmatic matter, you've got an important and full agenda as you do every time.
Yes.
If there could be some an agreement, a stipulation that somehow allowed this to continue with neither side giving any ground, it's status quo, we promise not to use this one way or the other, this standoff serves no one. And
Exactly, and our legal counsel provided that by telling us about the de facto. Is that not correct?
Your legal counsel provided Susan King with legal advice, and you're listening to him still? It's absurd.
Again, I understand the board, there's some passion and anger, and a lot of that may be directed at me, and I'm fine and I respect that. What I have told you is that in my legal opinion, the moment this issue came up, I saw legal issues that needed to be addressed. I identified those issues and I identified a way to move forward in a situation that I've never encountered before and I've never seen anywhere else. So that would culminate with some action by this board. And if this board says, Mr. King, we're not going to recognize you anymore, then I would be perfectly justified as your counsel in directing that, and then he can go to court. All I'm asking is for the 4 of you who are not Mr. King to give direction to us. If you don't like my opinion, that is perfectly fine. If you don't like the opinion that he might still be on the board and you want to say, no, he's not, get out of here, that's your prerogative. But you need to make a decision as a board, because what people don't know behind the scenes is that your staff and I have been under a lot of pressure trying to figure out how to handle this situation. Because I understand people think, oh, well, he's off. Well, he's sitting right here. And I'm not going to go physically move him out of here, and none of you are going to do the same. So we need to make a decision one way or the other. And I want to be very clear. If the board says to Mr. King, we don't think you're still on the board, if it agrees with what I think many of the people here think, then your staff will take all action. We'll remove his name, we'll remove all of this stuff and will not provide him a seat, and we will not communicate with him. You have the ability to direct us. But what I want the board to understand is I cannot do this by myself, neither can your staff.
And we can't do it until we have a publicly noticed meeting that's actually an open
Giving
session.
direction about having an election or how we're gonna post applicants, that's different. Fine, we can have a meeting about that. Having a meeting and a vote about whether or not Chuck should be sitting up here doesn't need to happen, period.
But
He's
Director-
already made his decision. It's unfortunate. I feel sorry that you had a change of heart, supported you, been a friend. Your own running mate is not even on your side on this. I'm sorry that this is happening, but why are you doing this to us? Why are you doing this to the community? I mean, please, do you really want to be here on a technicality?
I'm here because almost 15,000 people elected me.
And you let them down, and that's
Are you going to let me
unfortunate.
talk? Or are you going to pull the Marcus Worthington thing? You asked me a question, let me answer it. I'm here because 15,000 people elected me to be here, or close to it. I'm here because this place sorely needs integrity and accountability and transparency. And these people sitting out here applauding right now have no idea what's going on in this place. 2 months ago, I had no idea. But I'm telling you right now, this place is a crap storm. And it's because of this. And if you don't like it, that's too bad. But you're going to find out about it very soon. But it has to be done the right way. I'm not going to go on social media and respond to your garbage. I don't care about your garbage. What I do care about is the employees that work here, the people that pay their taxes to have the nice parks and the things that go with it. And yes, I had a weak moment, without a doubt, but guarantee me, I'm not weak anymore. And yes, I have an attorney. And yes, you are in serious issue. And if this board continues, this board will be in serious issue. But that's okay, because they don't care. They just want to applaud whatever the noise is. But you've also had 2 employees resign this week. 2 managers. Why? Explain that to me.
Members of the board, if I may, I apologize for interrupting. If you would honor me in allowing me to speak. Members of the public, thank you for being here. This has been incredibly frustrating, and I'm sorry for everybody here. Mark Hornstra, who was your interim general manager and then became general manager, resigned from the entire district. He was going to potentially look at you all. I'm taking you back to Director of Parks and Recreation. His last day was today, and he left this building at 5 o'clock, turned in his devices and his keys and said goodbye. Our director of HR, who was one of the most incredible professionals I've ever met in my entire life and had the honor to work with, has also resigned. I am now your de facto leader. I'm honored to be here to serve this community. I raised my children here. My background in public policy and politics and government, I hope, is serving our community well. We have had the most difficult month that I have ever witnessed in my entire life as somebody that comes from government. We do not make decisions for this community. You are the board, you represent the public. You were elected by the public to take care of this district. I like each and every one of you, and I respect each and every one of you deeply, and I mean that. This is an incredibly difficult time, but we have got incredibly important issues that we have to get to that are your priorities. I am sorry that all of you are going through this, but I am begging you to please continue this meeting. We can work this out, but our team cannot go through this anymore. I am concerned we have more people that may be leaving this district who are serving our public, our children, our mommies and daddies who joined their children at the mommy and me and daddy meeting. 5 or 6 issues, and we need to start to address those. I'm exhausted. I'm a pretty strong cookie. Staff is exhausted. We have serious business to get to. We have a threats and
Oh, this is a citizen.
Mr. Gatz, I would do, Mr.
Mr. Gatz, this is not allowed. This is not a heartstring moment.
You lose a
Wow. This is not a heartstring moment. She's a podcaster. She's a medium. I will post it tomorrow. She sees ghosts. I get it. The point is, you do not have the power to vote on Mr. King. You have not been following the rule of law.
Are you our legal counsel?
Follow the rule of law.
Are you our legal counsel?
Your counsel is the counsel of Mr. King. I've been
You're
trying
making
to
it sound as though
tell you
you're our
that.
counsel.
I am telling you, as a member of the public, you must
You're not a member of the
follow
public,
law. I will post that she's a medium and that she does podcasts, and she's not the person you're listening to. Right now, because it
Nobody
doesn't have
cares
anything to
about
do-
you anymore.
Because she's pulling on your heartstrings.
No,
and
just
you
be
gotta
quiet. Go
because
sit down.
You and
Go
she
sit
are
down.
creating the problem for us. Let's once again be
Yes.
clear.
Can you do me a
Yeah.
favor?
You turned in your resignation. Mr. Cole was on the email when all
Mr.
the other
Getz,
board
you
members
had
were
ample
notified.
opportunity to share your comments. We've received your public comments, you've received
This is
your...
not your meeting. Make it your meeting. Do it right. Follow the law. Make
Members
it.
of the staff of the district, please go ahead and go home. This has devolved into something that is inappropriate and unprofessional. I appreciate
Once
all of
again,
you.
Mr. Cole.
And thank you for your service to this community. I'm so, so sorry. I apologize.
Staff, thank you for all that you guys do, and hopefully we can get back to the business of the district soon. Thank
One
you.
way at a time. One person in this room can make it happen tonight.
You're right, he could have the meeting. But he won't.
Resign and unresign, it's not a real thing. It's not a real thing, it doesn't exist.
If Chuck leaves, why can't we have the meeting?
Not without a quorum.
I love that I get to hear shit like that. I love that one guy, just me, I scared him so badly. Love it.
A lot of you came tonight. I think a lot of you still have things to say. I'm happy to still hear them out one way or the other. I think we've got both people. If the people still have things to say, Steve and I will listen respectfully.
I just want to say that you guys are not even following your mission statement. You're supposed to be assisting and helping the citizens of this district. And all I've encountered is stuff that is not pertinent to the agenda or to the business of this district. I appreciate the dances and whatever for the community, but there are some very serious things that need to be done. We talk about a golf course. Where's the money coming from? There's an audit that still needs to be done because, I don't know, my understanding is some of those figures don't jive. So I really encourage the board to get this done and over with so that you can move on with business.
I'm going to correct a couple of things. While I respect that former Director King says he received 15,000 votes, I'd like to suggest that I think that I would love for them to say something tonight. He got those because he was heavily promoted by the El Dorado County GOP. I will guarantee you that the majority of the people who voted for him went on that endorsement alone. Many people were fooled. A lot of people thought he was with us. I could share screenshot after screenshot. I'm not sharing any kind of personal or private conversations, though I've had them. This is purely from next door neighbor. And if Noel, if you're listening, he has had some really, really interesting things to say about you. So I'm kind of a little shocked on the twist of events that now we're new best friends. Let's stop the pettiness and let's just go by the law, whether we like Chuck or not, whether we thought he changed or he didn't, whether we promoted him or what we didn't. We're talking about the law. We're talking about the law. And a resignation means you can reapply and you can have the opportunity to have people support you and all that good stuff. But it does not make me know for sure if he is indeed a sitting member of this board.
So I just, real quick. So you're
your staff turned off the Zoom and this isn't being recorded anymore, so it's all good and well to like have everybody come up here and say whatever they want, but nobody outside of this room is gonna hear it and it's not gonna get posted online. So we all have a lot to say. If that matters to you, you should just be aware of that. I'm taking off. Director Ferry, Director Hanneman, you're doing the right thing. Don't stop. Mr. Cole, you need to recuse yourself.
What a mess. Yeah, what a mess. So I submitted a lengthy public comment that I know you've read. I'm sure Mr. King has read. And I stated my views that a resignation does not need to be made directly by the resigning officer, that an authorized agent can deliver it, and that the only question is whether Mark was authorized to deliver it. I agree with Mr. Cole that is not 100% crystal clear, the answer to that. Where I disagree with Mr. Cole is what to do in light of that. I don't think there's any power that this board has to determine that the resignation wasn't valid. Either it was or it wasn't, right? And if it was valid, it's done, and you can't bring him back on the board at that point. So I think you could decide that as the four of you, you're going to vote him off, and he said he would walk away. I guess you could do that, but you can't do the reverse. So that, I don't think that's a viable option to resurrect him if the resignation was valid. But here's where I keep coming back to, and where I've been from the beginning on this. And I wish Chuck was here, because it doesn't matter who's right. It doesn't matter if he resigned or if it was effective or not effective. It's the question that's the problem. The question of whether his resignation was valid, in and of itself, is the problem. And I don't see any way for that to be resolved except in two ways. By a court, like Mr. Cole said, you could seek permission from the Attorney General, someone could, and you could file a quo pronto action, and it would take 6 months or a year to resolve. All the while, who knows what, if anything, this district can accomplish. Or Mr. King, can own his mistake, if it was a mistake, and the mess it created in its wake, and gracefully walk away. That seems to me, if somebody cared about the community, the obvious answer. That is the way out. It could have been the way out tonight. I don't know why he's choosing to cling to a loophole he didn't know about until after his withdrawal of the resignation. Like he didn't know about it. He didn't know about the law at the time of his resignation. He didn't even know about it when he withdrew the resignation. He was pointing to other things that aren't true as why the resignation was not effective. He learned about it sometime after all of that and saw a window to save his seat. That's his prerogative, I guess. If he wants to do that, if he wants to insist on sitting there, it's just going to grind the district to a halt. So if by any chance Mr. King watches the cell phone videos of this, again, whether 15,000 people voted for you or one, you're doing no service to the community by pushing this issue to a year's worth of litigation, by preventing this board from doing anything free of taint for the next 6 months to a year. It's just going to be non-stop chaos, like you saw tonight. You lost Elise Hardy tonight, HR manager. I texted Director Hanneman the first time I saw her at one of these meetings and said, "Who's she? She's great. Who's she? She's great." And you lost her. And you're going to keep losing them. And so I know you guys are sticking to your guns and you're trying to do the right thing, and Noel and everybody's trying to do the right thing, but eventually we got to find that path forward. And unfortunately, I don't know how you do it short of allowing Mr. King to say his piece, maybe on the condition that that's your last meeting. Present whatever you got, and then you walk off into the sunset. Maybe he'll agree to that. I don't know, but we have to find a solution to resolve this, and a year's worth of litigation ain't it, in my view. So, I don't know. Good luck.
My name is Isaac Dixon, and probably a little change of pace. I was excited about coming to the first board meeting tonight. to just introduce ourselves. We're a newly formed nonprofit. I learned a lot tonight. One of the things that we're really passionate about and excited about is giving back to the community. And one of the things that we're really excited to is that we are going to be helping youth with how to learn the gift of competition. I think it's something that is really needed this day and age. Both boys and girls with baseball and softball in the community right now. There's a real gap with softball, and we have the know-how and knowledge to be able to support that. We are a newly formed MOU with CSD. We're really excited to be able to be an MOU and to participate in that. We're also an MOU that wants to give back to the community. I think that a lot of the MOUs that are involved with CSD, they use the fields and they're not necessarily trying to find ways how they can give back to CSD. And so one of the things that we're really passionate about is giving back and building up the fields. And so I know that there's the Bass Lake Project and Selwood Field, and we have some substantial backing to be able to help support that renovation, whether it's turfing the field and be able to support that. So we look forward to working with whoever we're going to be working with. And if we want to if there's ever anything that we can do, please let us know. But we just wanted to take a moment tonight, and we'll come to the next meeting and reintroduce once that meeting officially opens. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
So would you all like to hear my side of the story? Happy to tell you. Of course, I was appointed or elected president of the board on December the 12th. And it was a vote, all 5-0, and I voted for myself, of course. By roughly right after the first of the year, I got a call from Mr. King, and he asked me to come over to Blackstone and meet with them at their little club over there. And I went over there, and he told me he was going to destroy me if I didn't step down. And I sat there, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But I told him I'd get back to him. So I went home and thought about it. I sent him a note, a text message, and I told him, I'm not going anywhere. And so, well, I'm going to just, right here in the January meeting, the second January meeting, ask me to go outside and talk to him about it. And he said, I'm going to destroy you tonight. And I said, go for it. Because I know what I've done or not done. I know I have not violated the Brown Act. I know that his threat to me has been recorded with the officials here in the county. None of this went by. I mean, and I didn't report. Other people were saying, hey, you can't let this happen. So if he wants to accuse me of whatever he wants to accuse me of, he's going to have to go for it. He attended one closed session meeting, so he'll have direct knowledge of what happened there. Anything else he's going to have, I would guess, is going to be hearsay. In any case, I don't think he should be representing, and I supported his candidacy. I do a voter guide, and I put him on it, and all that kind of stuff. It goes out to 1,500 people, try to help them. And to have him turn like this within 2 weeks was like, this is crazy. So anyway, that's where we are. I don't obviously trust him anymore at all, even a little bit. And so I don't want to deal with him. And I'm not going to deal with him. And I'll shut down every one of these meetings for the next year if he doesn't go away. I don't have to do that, don't get me wrong. But the point is that I am not going away on this deal, period. And I'm an old guy. I've been around for a few years. This is my community. This is a place that I live. This is a place my kids live. This is a place my grandchildren live. I have my church here. I mean, everything about us is right here. And so I want to make this into the, and I'll give you a little future vision, I want to make this into the Newport Beach of the Sierras. Well, how do you create a beach? Well, you decide you're going to become an Olympic village and create wonderful assets that we could do if we can just get people behind doing that. And I think we can with a little bit of telling people about the vision. So anyway, that's what happened. That's as much as I can tell you right now. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's it.
I just have a quick clarification. Can you tell us why or what he was trying to, I guess, get over on you?
I have no idea, except I think I know why he wants me out of the way. Because Dean Getz is sitting back there, and I got a message yesterday. I'll read it to you. It's from a lady that I've known for 15 years, rough and dirty. And she sent me a note, and she said in that note, it's going to take me just a